Hello everyone! Okay, so I basically have just been reading a bunch about the new student loan debt forgiveness situation that President Biden announced, and I just want to put my thoughts out there, and I kind of wanted to get, some of my viewers' opinions on this new plan, or this new announcement, and kind of rationalize some of the questions I've gotten myself about this issue in the past. I also want to make this disclaimer in case this is the first time you're watching a video of mine. I had federal and private student loans when I graduated college in 2018. This past April, I finished paying off all of my debt, including my car lease, and the majority of my debt was private student loans. I actually ended up paying my federal student loans back in 2019, a year after I graduated college. And those federal student loans were over $27,000. I had that much student loan debt because I went to a 4-year private university for my undergrad, and I just straight up went to a college I couldn't afford. But I was too prideful not to attend, a good private university. Okay, so I already mentioned a few things about this plan. Basically, if you have federal student loans, you can get up to $10,000 of those federal student loans forgiven, $20,000 if you went to college on a Pell Grant. A lot of people have continued making payments even with the payment holds and the interest rate freeze on federal student loans, so a lot of those people can actually have the payments that they've already made since March 13th, 2020 forgiven during that time period, so they would essentially get their money back. In addition to this, the student loan payment hold will actually be extended through December 31st, 2022, which means that next year people have to start making student loan payments again on their federal student loans. And finally, if you have undergraduate student loans, you can cap your monthly payment to 5% of your income. This could really impact people's discretionary income month to month, but I would just be wary of the interest that might accrue on these loans. So that's just a very quick overview of this plan. If you want to learn more details, definitely look at the sources I've linked down below, especially if the situation applies to you. So now I want to go through a few questions that I've actually received in the past from other people. The first one is, do I think it's fair to people who have paid off their federal student loans? No, I don't think it's fair. Do I care that it's not fair? No, I don't care that it's not fair. This plan is going to help millions of Americans, and I'm hoping that it will help them get into a better financial situation. I can definitely recognize that it's not fair to people, but I can very confidently say that if I were on the receiving end of this plan, like if I found out that the federal government was going to take $10,000 of my federal student loan balance away, I would not have said, no thank you, that's not fair to other people. I would be ecstatic, and honestly I'm very happy for the people who it does apply to. If I really think that I would say no, I don't want my student loan debt forgiven, maybe the answer would be different, but truly it's not really affecting me if we're just talking about fairness, not talking about the economy yet, but in terms of fairness, it's not fair, but am I mad about it? No. The other question I've gotten before is, do I regret paying off my federal student loans early? I would say that that's a hesitant no on that answer, because I sometimes do think, should I have just started paying off my private student loans first and left my federal student loans for last? Because there are a lot of benefits to federal loans that private student loans simply do not have, but I actually don't regret it, and this is why. I started off my debt-free journey by paying off my federal student loans. And if I had not gotten those small wins of paying off my loans little by little, having that feeling of when a loan is forever gone and paid off, I don't think I would have stuck with it. And I don't think I would be at this point now where I'm officially debt-free, because if I hadn't gotten those wins in the beginning and if I were just paying off my high-interest debt using the avalanche method, I don't know, I think I would have been discouraged a lot earlier, and maybe I would have been a little slower on my debt repayment, and maybe I would still be in debt, maybe I would be investing more, I'm not sure. But I don't regret it because I learned a lot from it. Maybe a lot of other people who have paid off their own loans, have learned from their journeys as well. For me, it's not something that I regret, but do I think about what it would have been like if I just ignored the federal student loans for a little bit? Yeah, I do think about that sometimes, but I ended up paying over 6 figures of debt in less than 4 years, so it's not a huge portion of that. Do I think that a $10,000 debt forgiveness will impact people making around $125,000 a year? No, I don't think so. But I will say that if you had to borrow money and then you moved on and started making 6 figures with that degree, I think you did a great job. I think that's a good ROI, as long as it's from that degree, but I don't really think it's going to affect people who are making that kind of money that much. I'm not sure where that number came from exactly, but a lot of the people making, like around $75,000, I think that's definitely not a drop in the bucket. I think it will, positively impact them, especially in the long run with their payments. So hopefully they'll be able to start achieving some of their financial goals a lot sooner because they don't have that debt. Do I care that I'm subsidizing the debt of other people through my taxes? This is just my personal opinion. A lot of people may feel differently. I don't really mind that because, I'm happy to pay my taxes, pay your taxes, guys. And if a portion of that goes towards subsidizing other people's debt for their education, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I actually would love to help other people pay off their debt, and I can really empathize with people who are in debt, who kind of feel the weight of that debt, because it just was not a good feeling, at least not for me. So here we go to the impact on the economy. Before I was kind of just talking about fairness. I am not an economist. I did have to take Eco 101 in school, but I am not an expert. I'm not. I will say that I think a lot of this is political, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. And I think the people that will have the most immediate impact on the economy are the people who are going to get the debt refunded if they were making payments, and then the people who were making payments, all the way back to March 2020, and are going to get that money refunded, they're the ones who are essentially getting like a giant stimulus check. For the people who just had their balance forgiven and just weren't making payments, that amount of money is really just going to be spread out over a few years, because I doubt most people were making $10,000 payments every month. So it really just depends on how the people who get that refund spend their money, and the people who just, had their debts fully paid off are gonna spend the amount of money that they would have sent towards their payments every month, whether it's like $100 to $400 a month, something like that. So I do think they'll have, a bit of a bump in discretionary income, but yeah, it really comes down to how they spend their money. If they want to save, if they want to be consumers of certain things, or save for a down payment, it's all up to them. And I want to say again, I'm not an economist, I'm not a CPA or anything. It's not really clear to me how this will impact the taxes of people affected, like especially if you get a refund of $10,000, is that going to be taxable income or not? I did find one article that said it would probably be treated as taxable income, so definitely be aware of that. So those are kind of my basic thoughts. I really do think that high tuition costs should probably be addressed. It's not like student loan payments are going to go away. There are a lot of people who have more than $10,000 in federal student loans whose payments will begin, and they're going to see kind of a negative impact on their finances if they just weren't making any payments. The other thing is, it may take a few months for you to see that balance forgiven if you qualify. Just follow up with your lenders, be very proactive about it, because you want to make sure that you're taking full advantage of this. Okay, so please comment below what you think about this announcement. I know a lot of people are either really for this or really against it, but I kind of want to hear your thoughts, because I can see why people would think it's extremely unfair. You paid all this debt off and then you have all these people getting it forgiven. But I kind of have sympathy for those people who still have debt, and I think it's a great opportunity for them. It doesn't really bother me, but I'd like to know how you feel. Thanks for watching.